Uh-oh, Amazon's in trouble. An article broke yesterday stating that Amazon is being charged by the European Commission for abusing competition rules. And this is huge. So I thought, let's make a video on it and let's discuss the actual article at hand. So if you didn't see the article, I'm just going to summarize it for you now. Essentially, the EU Competition Commission is stating that Amazon has abused its position, its dominant position in the marketplace as being a platform for sellers by essentially collecting data on how much its sellers are selling, collecting data on prices being charged, and in some cases, collecting data on who its sellers' suppliers are. And it's using all of that information to basically allow it to decide what products it should sell itself, which obviously is a massive conflict of interest. And this is something that a lot of people have historically says happens. I've been fortunate enough to have never seen it happen to my own products or products of my students, but I have certainly heard stories where people have said, I was selling tons of products on Amazon, and then all of a sudden Amazon started to sell the same product themselves and they took over. So here's the article. Let's see what else they're saying here. So, I thought this was a brilliant quote. Amazon rejected the charges, saying that no firm cared more for small businesses. Really? Us guys get treated like absolute crap by seller support, so I definitely would reject that claim right there. This one here, this line says that if the European Commission can charge Amazon and basically find them guilty of this bad practice, they could be liable for a fine as high as 10% of global turnover, which is £15 billion or nearly $20 billion, which is pretty crazy. So let's see what else they've said. They've said data on the activity of third-party sellers should not be used for the benefit of Amazon when it acts as a competitor to these sellers. That's absolutely true. And do you know what? This is something that has happened with a couple of other industries out there where competition commissions have tried to break companies up. So for example, banking, the commission during the last financial crisis said that the investment bank and the retail bank had to be completely separate. So I can see something similar possibly happening here, where basically Amazon gets told you need to keep your marketplace and your own selling business completely separate. They cannot be merged. So that's kind of my take from this article here. Then if we scroll down, we've got here, the European Commission has been investigating Amazon since July of last year, so more than a year now, and it comes from following complaints from traders. So people just like you or I, which is huge. So obviously this has been impacting quite a lot of people. And, this is something that I think Amazon are going to have to take very seriously. A £15 billion fine is pretty high. Now, there are actually some additional facts in here that I thought was quite interesting. So Amazon represents just less than 1% of the global retail market, which is crazy and shows you just how big the retail market is when you kind of put it into context of how fast Amazon is at growing and just how dominant they are in the online shopping world. So I thought that was really interesting. Then we've got this again, no company cares more about small business, always done more to support them. I don't know who said that, but I'd love to have a chat with them. And then what else have we got? We've got it pointed out that there are more than 150,000 European businesses, again, just like you or I, if you're selling on Amazon, that sell on its online marketplace, which is huge. So let's now look at what the analysis, the critiques out there are saying. So they're basically comparing Amazon very much to Apple, Google, etc. All these other platforms that, kind of use data, collect data to benefit other parts of their own business. So Apple, for example, was, I believe, collecting information from its own operating system and using that within the App Store to generate more sales and so on. So it's great that this is getting a lot of attention. I do think that this is going to benefit us sellers a lot. But the bad thing is that you can see here it says that the case isn't going to be settled quickly. Amazon could, they probably will dispute it. They are disputing it. So it's going to go to court and it could result in an out-of-court settlement or the charges being dropped. However, there is a lot of evidence out there apparently from all these traders. And in addition to that, they've also picked up on Amazon hogging the buy box for its when it's selling its own products. So if you're new to Amazon FBA and you're not quite familiar with what the buy box is, Essentially, if you go onto any product on Amazon, so let's just have a look at this, my good old favorite posture corrector, you can see this here. This box is called the buy box. And the reason it's called the buy box is because literally you just press buy now or add to basket, and immediately this person here, Girari, is going to sell the product, right? But that's despite the fact that there's this box here that says new 3 from 16.99. So if you click that, you can see a couple of other sellers. There's one here that's selling it for 17.99, and then you've got just Girari, in fact, another one from Girari, the existing seller. But what you say here is that this seller here for rent doesn't have the buy box, because a customer is going to have to go out of their way in order to buy this product from that seller for rent. Okay, so when you're doing private label, typically you will be the only person in the buy box because you're the only person that can sell that product. So that's a massive advantage of selling private label products. But if you are to be selling, you're a wholesaler, you sell existing products, then the EU Commission, the point they're making is that you could have the lower price, you could have the better offer, which theoretically should mean that you have the buy box. But Amazon are taking it because Amazon are like, we're selling the product, this is our site, therefore we're having the buy box. So that is the point of this paragraph here. That's what the Commission are also saying. They're saying that there's unfair practice to do with the buy box, which again is probably true, and it's great that attention is being brought to this, because now it might mean that Amazon's going to have to be more transparent about who has the buy box, who doesn't have the buy box, and so on. So that's great news. Now, in terms of my views, as I said at the beginning of the video, I've been fortunate enough to never have to compete with Amazon. I don't know if that's because I do private labeling or just because of the niche that I'm in or what. But one thing that I do actually do, which was recommended to me by my freight forwarder, is I don't reveal who my supplier is anymore anyway. This is something I've recently started to do. So whenever you create a shipment plan with Amazon, it will say, what is the ship from address? And typically, historically, the way that I've done it, the way that everyone that I know has done it, is to put in their supplier's address in China, because that's where the goods are coming from, right? But really, that information is not required, and Amazon's not going to check it officially. So what you can do instead is put your freight forwarder's address, because it doesn't actually make a difference to Amazon or to the journey anyway of your goods getting transported. Your goods will go from China to the UK or Europe, wherever you're selling, by sea. They'll get to the port. Westbound will pick them up, and then they'll go to Westbound, or your freight forwarder, your freight forwarder will pick them up. They'll go to your freight forwarder's warehouse, and then from there, they'll get delivered to Amazon's warehouse. So really, you can say to Amazon, the goods are coming from my freight forwarder's address, right? I've started to do it, and I, kind of think it's an extra precaution. It's probably not that necessary, but, in light of articles like this, I think you may as well do that, just to kind of make it a bit more difficult for anyone to find out who your supplier is. So that's the article at hand. It's very early stages to actually see whether action is going to be taken, but I think it's great that attention is being brought to the matter of Amazon possibly collecting data from its sellers and using that to its own advantage when deciding what products it wants to sell itself. But of course, guys, I'd love to know what you think to the article, to the video. Post down in the comment section and let me know what you think. Otherwise, I'll see you next time for another video.